I saved my first 100,000 euros at 26, which helped me save another 100,000 just 2 years later. As a financial coach, I've helped Europeans do the same using one simple strategy that anyone can use, even if you have no money today. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact steps to go from zero to having saved your first 100,000 euros. And I will even show you how to set yourself up for financial freedom once you have reached this first milestone. But first, let me show you why saving your first 100,000 euros changes everything. When I first started saving money, I thought I'd get rich rapidly. I had a good salary, so it only made sense. Reality is, I was really bad at saving. I was just thinking about enjoying my money, and at the end of the month, it felt like I didn't know where my money had disappeared. So after 1 year, I hadn't saved much at all. It took me 5 long years of effort and sacrifices to reach my first 100,000 euros. I had to change habits, build better systems, and stay disciplined every single month. Every single euro felt like hard work. But then, the second 100,000 came in less than 2 years, and it was so much easier. Not because I got lucky with cryptos, but because I had already built the right habits, and my money was working for me, steadily growing over time. That's the magic of the first 100,000 euros. It's difficult to reach it, but once you get there, everything gets easier and faster. Because if you know how to make it work for you, your second 100,000 will come faster and your third one even faster. And saving all this money is not just about becoming richer than ever before. It's about what it represents: safety, freedom, and options. It's the ability to quit a job you don't like. It's the down payment on the home of your dreams. It's the foundation that gives you control over your future. So next, I'm going to show you the most important thing you should do to save your first 100,000 euros. When I started saving money, it was a constant struggle. I would put my money aside, but then I would spend it the moment something caught my eye. A new video game, a car. I even bought a Rolex thinking it would make me look richer. But all these expenses just left me broke. The more money I saw in my account, the more I felt like I could afford. And technically, I could. But every time I gave in and spent more just because I could, I stayed stuck, never getting closer to 100,000 euros. Then I made one small change in my habits, and from that point on, saving became simple. So what's this change? I stopped looking at 100,000 euros as just a number. Because honestly, the number itself means nothing. It could be 200,000, 50,000 euros, or whatever. What matters is what that money represents to you. Maybe it's the security of knowing your family will always be safe. Maybe it's the holiday you've always dreamt of. Maybe it's the opportunity to follow your passions. That's the real secret. You save faster when your savings are tied to a goal that actually matters to you. Because when your money has a purpose, every euro you put aside feels like a step closer to your dream, not just another sacrifice. So now, take a piece of paper and write on it your why, your own reason to save this money. Then, keep it somewhere you will see it when you're about to spend. Maybe it's in your wallet, maybe on your desk, or maybe it's taped on your laptop. That way, every time you're tempted, you will be reminded why you're doing all this. Okay, now you're all set to start working toward your first 100,000 euros. And the first step is to get a clear snapshot of where you stand today. To make this easy, I've created a free tool you can use to follow along. You will find the link in the description below. Let's go through an example together. First, enter your annual income and expenses. It doesn't matter if you use net or gross numbers, the only rule is to be consistent. So if you use gross income, make sure your expenses also include taxes. In this example, let's say a gross income of 50,000 euros and expenses of 40,000 euros. That means you're saving 10,000 euros a year. Next, let's talk about debt. It's really important to add any short-term debt here. Things like credit card or personal loans, because this isn't money you actually own. Instead, long-term debt, like a mortgage, is less relevant for this tool, since your payments should already be included in your expenses. So don't add it if you have already considered it. And if you do have short-term debt, your top priority should be eliminating it before trying to hit 100,000 euros. In our example, let's assume there's no debt. Then we add our current savings. For reference, the average 30-year-old in Europe has around 20,000 euros saved. So let's use that here. Finally, set your objective, in this case 100,000 euros. And that's it. You now have a full snapshot of your situation, and this will define exactly how long it will take you to reach your first 100,000 euros. But before you rush into seeing how long it will take, let me give you a tip that will make saving much easier. Because when I first started, even though I was motivated, I would often lose track. Some month I forgot to transfer my money, other month I spent it before I could save it. And even when I did put money aside, it felt like it would take forever to reach my goal. Maybe you felt the same. The truth is, saving doesn't have to be this constant struggle. It can actually feel effortless. And the way to do that is simple. Automate your finances to go to the right place. But how do you do that? Most banks let you set up automatic transfers the moment your paycheck arrives. So if you save 10,000 euros per year, like in the previous example, you can set an automatic transfer of about 833 each month into your savings account. That way, you don't even have to think about it. But here's the important part. Where you send this money will determine how fast you reach your goal. And depending on the reason you wrote on your little paper, there are three main places your money should go. So if it is to build an emergency fund to have security, put the money in a high-yield savings account. It's safe, liquid, and earns around 2.5% a year in Europe. Good options right now are Trading 212 and Trade Republic. For short-term objectives, like a down payment for a house or a sabbatical year, you can also use a high-yield savings account or government bonds. Bonds usually pay a little more, 2.5% to 4.5%, but they're less liquid, which is why they're not great for emergencies. You can easily buy them on the platforms like Trade Republic or Interactive Brokers. For long-term objectives, like retiring early, you should invest in the stock market using ETFs. Over time, they give the best results by far, usually between 6% and 10% per year. They're liquid, but keep in mind the value can swing a lot in the short term. That's why they're best if you don't need the money for at least 5-10 years. Again, you can buy them on Interactive Brokers, Trade Republic, and Trading 212 as well. So, based on your objectives, automatically save your money into the right bucket. That's how you save faster, without constant effort or stress. Okay, now you're really ready to start saving. But here's the big question. How long will it take to reach your first 100,000 euros? In the same file as before, there's a sheet called timeline. This is where you'll see exactly how long it will take. First, enter inflation, which I estimate at 3%. Then your annual salary increases. In Europe, this usually keeps pace with inflation. Finally, the expected return on your savings. This one is the game changer. It depends on the bucket you've chosen, and it makes a huge difference in your results. For example, in this case, with a high-yield savings account at 2.5%, it takes 7 years to reach 100,000 euros and another 6 years to get to 200,000. With bonds at 3.5%, it's still about 7 years for the first 100,000 euros and 6 for the second. But with ETFs at 8% per year, you hit 100,000 euros in just 6 years, then 200,000 in just 4 years, and 300,000 in another 3 years. That's why your first 100,000 euros is such a critical milestone. It's the turning point toward financial freedom. Now, down below, there are extra fields where you can play with the numbers, like increasing your income or cutting expenses. Add 10,000 to your annual income and you hit 100,000 in just 4 years. Cut 10,000 euros of expenses and you'll get the same result. Now, here's the key takeaway. Most people obsess over small wins, skipping coffees, dinners with friends, saving every cent. Sure, it helps, but it also kills your enjoyment of money. And there's a ceiling to how much you can cut. Big wins are different. A 10,000 euro raise or a side hustle bringing in extra income has no ceiling. And one big win can do more for your savings than years of frugality. So instead of playing the small game of cutting endlessly, focus on the big game. Finding that one big win that makes everything faster, while still letting you enjoy your life. But here's the catch. You can save all you want. But there are traps that keep most Europeans stuck without even realizing, making money but never moving forward. And unless you know how to avoid them, you will get caught in that paycheck to paycheck cycle. So if you want to reach your first 100,000 euros without falling into those traps, watch this next video where I'll walk you through the biggest ones and how to avoid them.